Can a person that has done terrible things be redeemed? That's the central question of the curse-revealing arc of Higurashi Sotsu, and of Higurashi Meguri, the manga sequel to the manga version of Gou that tells a very different story than what was seen in the Sotsu anime. But at the same time, that question, can someone be redeemed, doesn't matter at all in either series, because the focus of both Sotsu and Meguri is Sadako, and Sotsu definitely doesn't care about redeeming her character. But does Meguri? More on that later. First, I'm Shaggy, and this is my 4th video on Higurashi Meguri. You can find the other videos here on my channel in a playlist I made, called Higurashi. And feel free to subscribe to see when I upload more videos. I am definitely going to finish covering Meguri, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do after that, but it will definitely be more videos about Higurashi, or at least Ryukishi 07 related things. I've been a huge fan of the Higurashi franchise for years, and while I was very excited when Gou, the remake but actually a sequel, came out, I felt nothing but extreme disappointment while watching Sotsu. I had several problems with it. Most notably, though, was how the series ruined Sadako. So I was very happy when I started reading Meguri, a manga that offers its own spin on the idea of Sadako becoming a looper, and saw it still vilify Sadako, make her the bad guy, but in a way that made sense, and kept her from becoming nothing more than a bloodthirsty idiot. Long story short, in Sotsu, Sadako starts looping because she wants Rika to stay in Hinamizawa instead of going to St. Lucia's for high school. Sadako can't bear to be away from her, but life at St. Lucia's is hell for her, so the only solution she can see is to keep Rika in Hinamizawa, by making her live through terrible loops until she decides to never leave the town. Great idea. In Meguri, Sadako is taken by Yuwa, a god that wants to be amused by humans, to the Sea of Fragments. She is told that she can have a different future if she makes the right choices, and Sadako agrees, because she has been at St. Lucia's with Rika and is miserable. But all Sadako gets through her attempts is death. Rika's death, Satoshi's death, her own death. There is no happy future, it's just not possible. But Yuwa says that she can relive June of 1983 over and over again, the happiest time of her life, so long as she entertains Yuwa. So basically, in Sotsu, Sadako makes a selfish request and does terrible things, almost instantly, to get what she wants. But in Meguri, she is psychologically tortured with a no-win situation by Yuwa, and with no other choices, decides to keep enacting tragedies to keep repeating a good period of her life. The loops and situations largely are the same, but the motivations and circumstances are very different. With that foundation laid, let's get to the meat of Tatariakashi-Hen, or the curse-revealing chapter of Higurashi no Naku Koro ni Meguri. And yeah, I can't speak Japanese, so I do apologize if saying the words, I sound like crap. This arc is an inversion of the Massacre arc, or Mina-goroshi-hen, from the original Higurashi. Sadako's uncle Tepe returns to Hinamizawa, and Keiichi convinces the town to work together to get child welfare to save Sadako. Except here, Tepe was actually a good guy and Sadako lied about being abused, both to her friends and to Tepe, in order to recreate that old situation. I don't want to cover every single detail of either the manga or anime, so instead I'll bring up a couple of key differences. Starting at the beginning, in Meguri, the first thing we see is Tepe approaching Sadako and apologizing profusely for his terrible behavior. While this was actually set up near the end of the Gou anime, then expanded upon in both this arc and the previous one in Sotsu. Now, this isn't a huge difference, I think it mostly comes down to time. The anime had a lot of time to fill while the manga did not, but I think it still matters. Greatly. For one, Sadako's behavior is very different in the two series. In Sotsu, she is meticulous, planning everything and using everything she can. She goes to Tepe's place and asks him to move to Hinamizawa with her plan already formed. She knows she's going to fake being abused from the beginning. In Meguri, when Sadako sees Tepe, she's ready to take the abuse. In her mind, it's worth it to continue the loop. She changes the plan once she learns that he's changed and is remorseful. She'll pretend to be abused and soak up the attention from her friends. I don't know which is worse, let's just say they both suck really bad, but Sadako's decision in each says a lot about her frame of mind in that series. In Sotsu, she is cunning and has a goal she wants to accomplish. In Meguri, she's pretty fucked up. She was perfectly fine with being beaten up by Tepe because she knew it would lead to her friends and eventually the whole town rallying behind her and supporting her. She was even happy at the prospect. That's not sane. Even with all the messed up stuff that's been going on, that sticks out as a sure sign that Sadako is unwell. That doesn't excuse her actions, of course, but it does make Meguri Sadako a lot more sympathetic as a villain than in Sotsu. Which is true from the start, as Yua psychologically abuses her when she's already weak from being miserable at St. Lucia's. Another big reason the amount of time spent preparing for this arc matters is Tepe. I'll be blunt, I still don't like him. I don't blame people if they do, he does kind of redeem himself, but I can't get over how utterly miserable he made Sadako and Satoshi, and Reina and her father in some arcs, but I like him more in Meguri than in Sotsu, for a strange reason. One reason: lack of time. Meguri is swift with things. Tepe is back, but he's changed, he's on Sadako's side, etc. In Sotsu and Gou, they beat you over the head with him. They show him having dreams of dying pathetic deaths, all alone. They show him apologizing to Sadako and her being unsure what to do. They show Sadako befriending him, helping him win bets so she can get a gun from one of his contacts. They spend a lot of time showing him behaving differently, but it all feels shallow to me. Tepe only changed because of the many loops Sadako went through. If he hadn't felt all those memories of dying, he would have stayed the same. An asshole abuser that only cares about money. I don't feel like he really earned his redemption, and while I know forgiving and allowing people to turn over new leaves is a core part of Higurashi, all you have to do is look at Takano to understand that, I can't bring myself to like anything about Tepe, and I don't want to see him interact with the core group of characters in the future. So, while Sotsu takes the time to show that Tepe has changed, I prefer Meguri's simple explanation of things change over the course of the loops, because that's all I need to get through this arc to understand what it's trying to do. Feel free to let me know your thoughts on Tepe in the comments. I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with me, and that's honestly fine. I would actually like to hear people's explanations of why it's good that Tepe was brought back. Maybe it can help me feel more at ease with his presence, or just understand what they were doing more. Another difference between Sotsu and Meguri is the ending. While things essentially play out the same, wildly different things do happen in the question arcs. In the Gou anime, we see Keiichi go to Sadako's house where he is attacked by Tepe. He fights back and kills Tepe, then wakes up in the hospital. Reina visits and tells him that Oishi shot and killed all their friends. That's all we get. Then in Sotsu, we learn that Keiichi wasn't attacked by Tepe, that Tepe was already dead, killed by Sadako, who then attacks Keiichi and stages the scene to look as if Keiichi and Tepe killed each other. This only makes sense at that immediate moment, since Tepe was shot in the head and Keiichi didn't have a gun, but that moment is all she needs to push Oishi over the edge and go to the festival to kill Rika. What we saw at the climax of the question arc in the anime didn't happen. It was a giant misdirection and it pisses me off. Was it still possible to look at the clues and conclude that Sadako was a looper? Sure. But it's cheap as hell to show the audience something that didn't happen and not have any reason for it. Keiichi wasn't told that Tepe attacked him. Only Sadako and Oishi knew about that, and they were both dead by the time he woke up. And it's not like he was hallucinating because of Hinamizawa syndrome, because he didn't have it. We, the audience, were lied to, plain and simple. And Higurashi doesn't do that. There are misdirections, and we do see things that didn't happen, but it always makes sense. It has a reason. Like someone's lying to the main character, or the main character of the arc is hallucinating. But okay, I'm done ranting. All that matters is in the Gou arc, we see a lot more. There's no fake fight at Sadako's home. Keiichi and the gang are at the festival. We see Oishi come in, his single gun blazing. We see Mion and Shion get killed, we see Keiichi get hit by Oishi, and after he passes out, we see Reina's perspective, where Oishi killed Rika and Sadako got on the stage, and as we learn in Meguri, shot Oishi and Rika, and then herself, right in front of Reina. And those aren't the only differences. Perhaps most important, there is no battle between a normal Sadako and a witch Sadako. In Meguri, Sadako shoots Tepe in the head in the bathroom earlier than she does in Sotsu, and that's it. She shoots him, he's dead. She later mutilates his corpse to further convince Oishi that he and Sadako were victims of Oyashiro-sama's curse, but Keiichi doesn't figure into all that, at all. And like I said, no witch stuff. Satsu's path for Sadako involves corrupting her, then turning her into something otherworldly. Yua says that she has become a witch, no longer human. In a way, this allows us viewers to divorce the Sadako we know and love from the villain we've been watching in Sotsu. We even get to say goodbye to the Sadako from previous Higurashi series, by seeing her get killed by witch Sadako. Great send-off, right? So, the Sadako we've seen is gone, and that's it. She doesn't come back, she doesn't fight witch Sadako at the end and wrest control from her. Nope, she's just dead. But wait, in the final episode, we see witch Sadako relinquish control of herself from that loop, giving Sadako her own life back. But who cares? Because at this point, this isn't the Sadako we know. It's just another random version of her in another random loop. Saying they all lived happily ever after doesn't mean anything if we don't see how they got there. The talk of witches is nice, particularly, or perhaps solely, if you're a fan of Umineko, another of Ryu Kishio 7's series. If you've played the visual novels or read the manga, I did the latter, then you can kind of understand where Sotsu is going. If you watch the Umineko anime, you're shit out of luck because they only did one season of it, covering just the question arcs. No answers for you. Not to go down too deep a hole, there are witches in Umineko that resemble Rika and Sadako, Frederica Berncastel and Lambda Delta, respectively, both in appearance and personality. And it's really cool that they're kind of like Rika and Sadako. Well, Berncastel is a version of Rika, and she actually appears briefly in the core Higurashi series, but I think they're mostly fan service things for the people that played the Higurashi VNs, since Umineko came out after. I don't see any reason to try to create a canon world where Higurashi and Umineko both exist, with versions of Higurashi characters becoming godly beings in Umineko. If you want to, that's fine, but honestly, the more importance I place on canon across different series, the worse time I have, for the most part. I don't mind letting separate things be separate. Anyway, did Sotsu set up the looping Sadako to become Lambda Delta? Maybe. This is an anime that claimed to be a remake only to undeniably be a sequel. Could it be creating a bridge between Higurashi and Umineko? I'd like that, since it would probably mean another fully realized Umineko anime, but I doubt it. I think it was all a bit of fun. And the bottom line is, whether they called her a witch or something else, they were going to separate the evil Sadako we saw torture her friends mercilessly for an incredibly selfish reason from the character we adore. It was their only way to make sense out of her behavior. She got lost in the loops, lost her head, and there is no going back for her. How could she just have a normal life in Hinamizawa after all the shit she did? Bringing it back to Meguri, the manga isn't doing that. It isn't absolving Sadako of her crimes by making her a witch or some other kind of supernatural or godly creature. I don't know how it will play out, I haven't read further than this arc yet, but the path that Meguri is on doesn't have any room for witches. If I'm proven wrong, I'll eat crow. I won't deny my mistake. But I cannot see how Meguri could mess things up that badly. It just wouldn't make sense for the story told so far. I know I've spent more of this video talking about Sotsu than Meguri, but honest to God, I think the best way to sing Meguri's praises is to show how bad Sotsu did things first. And then all I can say is, Meguri did this. It's better this way. Also, there weren't that many differences between the versions, except for what I've talked about. Sadako's motivations, her state of mind, those are the things that really shine. I think the best example of that is how in Meguri, Sadako is ecstatic when her friends comfort her after the fake PTSD attack in the classroom. She says, "This is bliss." She likes being the center of attention in this arc, seeing how much her friends care about her. And why wouldn't she? She's gone through so many loops where things go wrong, where she is denied happiness. That one moment allows her to feel her friends' love for her, when everything else is garbage. Remember, there's nothing waiting for Sadako at the end of the loops. Yua dashed all of her hopes, and Sadako is planning on either looping eternally with Rika, or being discovered and killed by Rika. Those are her options. That's all she thinks is possible. Meanwhile, in Sotsu, Sadako just wants to torture Rika into not leaving the town. She doesn't care what happens to anybody as long as she can eventually crush Rika's hopes. So yeah, Meguri is telling a better story. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. I truly love the Higurashi series. I love the characters, the setting, the mystery, the suspense. It's wonderful. And I still haven't played the visual novels. Maybe one day. Maybe on stream or as videos, I don't know. Thank you to everybody that has supported me in my efforts. Words cannot express how glad I am for you and your support. I have one more Meguri video to make, maybe two, as I cover the final 2 arcs. And perhaps a video that covers everything. I'll figure it out. I don't have a plan. In the meantime, have a great October, gotta love the spooky month, have a great Halloween, and don't worry about those footsteps behind you. I'm sure whoever they belong to is super friendly.